Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast. Lehr with me, your host, Imperial Dane, a master of instruction, off here to cover the British 3-inch mortar emplacement. A bit of a callback as opposed to the first mortar emplacement from the first couple of years, but with some slight important details. For starters, you get two mortars rather than one. It's also a bit more expensive, but of course, again, you got more bang for your buck. Overall range, I think, is more or less in the same range as a regular sort of mobile mortar, but of course, it can shoot a lot more, and if you've basically guns with a unit that can afford assembly near it, it gets a higher rate of fire. But that's also the only way it gets a higher rate of fire, since the veterancy bonuses are pretty much nothing like that. In a sense, I mean, it takes shorter time between barrages, and there's some other bits there, but it already does sort of increase normal rate of fire there. So again, you will need to add something extra bit there to sort of get it to work in there. But overall, again, you know, it's a sort of nice little artillery piece. Depending on maps, though, it will have sort of better or worse effect. I mean, more urban maps where you can sort of more defend the approaches to, you can sort of generally get a bit more effect out, because it's still going to be, you know, vulnerable to, say, flamethrowers and lights. Of course, mortars can count it. You're going to need quite a few there, which means your opponent has to pay more. And there's very much risk his opponent's going to lose at least one mortar there to your mortar emplacement. Plus, of course, you still got brace structure. Light infantry guns, of course, bit bigger threat there, but there's always going to be a bit of threat there since they already got longer range there. So again, you always have to consider what you're playing against. What do they have? Do I have to worry about this, or do I have to worry about that? But overall, it's a mortar emplacement that, if it's placed in the right position, can really do a lot of damage very quickly, bleed out your opponent, kill units. Can be useful on the offense, can be used on the defense. I mean, defensively, it's probably where it's better, but, you know, if you place it correctly, it can be quite good in the offense. And particularly, of course, Veterans 1, it gets a creeping smoke barrage, which basically sort of allows you to sort of, you know, make a line there of smoke against your opponent, which can be useful, you know, for preparing for an attack. For example, let's say, you know, Mirage Fly here, some, you know, nasty weapons lined up here. David wants to get through it, he lays down a creeping barrage in front of it, and then just, you know, pushes through the smoke. So in that sense, you know, it's quite handy there. But again, this is really sort of where you want, you know, in certain area you want really to dominate with, you know, the mortar fire. With artillery, you get the mortar emplacement, because it makes it very difficult for your opponents to recite within this area, because you can simply just pound away with the mortar emplacement. It can really do a lot of damage within a short period of time, which can make it very difficult for any infantry to remain in the air or any support weapons. So it's very pertinent, but of course it is static. It is a bit vulnerable to enemy artillery as well, depending on the situation, of course. It will probably try to attack there with flame weapons to try and clear it out. So of course you have to prepare defences. Again, you know, I mean, you're probably not going to have a mortar emplacement at the front now, but you know, consider mining up paths. You know, make it harder for your opponent to rush it. Of course, afford an assembly next to it generally gets you a bit wider, but that pretty much sticks to all emplacements. Put a forward assembly near it. Set forward. Well, emplacement is going to be a lot more good in some way or the other. But overall, this is just basically for a lot of mortars fire. That's basically, and again, sort of consider the angles, the so on and so on, and also, you know, is it really a good position you're placing in? For example, here, that's going to cover the center here of the map quite well, ensuring that David here's got a strong position, for example, so that's good. You could also consider maybe placing it here, you know, covering this area, and perhaps also this, but, you know, again, the further placements will come more, again, it always becomes more exposed. Then you also consider other elements like mines or something else, but why? To make it hard for the opponent to rush it, because your opponent will try to rush your mortar emplacement and knock it out. Again, if you can't hit with artillery, you're going to try and rush it with flamethrowers or incendiary grenades or tanks or whatever. So that's always something to keep in mind. You know, prepare defenses ahead. Prepare and, you know, imagine how would you attack such a mortar emplacement, and then sort of try to deal with it along those lines. But again, pretty pertinent, bit costly manpower. But again, for the amount of firepower you can get out of it and such, I'd say it's well worth it. Of course, you're not going to get a mortar emplacement all the time. Again, sort of depends on your playstyle. But again, you know, sort of shoring up a position, you know, you really want to hold an area. Getting a mortar emplacement to then further help it is not a bad idea. In fact, it's going to be a pretty good investment. So that's always something to keep in mind. Again, it can shoot pretty far. Again, I believe it's more or less in the same range as sort of a mortar until it hits Veterans 3. And of course, unlike those mortars, it doesn't get more range. So that is also a bit of a limitation there to keep in mind. But I think this overall covers the mortar emplacement. There's not so much there to sort of, you know, say about that. It's mortar emplacement, nasty again. More in close maps, so again, you can control where you can sort of have to go in, and that could get a bit more strength compared to other maps where you have a better chance of flanking and quickly dealing with it. So that's a little bit more to keep in mind as well. More urban maps like Stuttgart and so on, it does have the chance to have a bit more effect. Otherwise, I mean, consider a map like Lancaster, where the regular Mortar Emplacement companies was quite popular. Players get behind the bookcars, you can sort of cover a nice chunk of the map. Though, of course, they can shoot through the bookcars, but, you know, if you can sort of manage a good defensive line, he can't just immediately rush it, and so on. So, some thoughts there. But anyways, that should cover it. Hopefully people are now a bit, well, brighter here on the Mortar Emplacement, a bit clear what to do with it, and perhaps how to fight it. If they are, that's great. If not, well, that's unfortunate. So I think that rather wraps up. There's not really a lot to say beyond that. Again, you know, forward emplacement, like when you have forward assembly, stuffing something in it, consider positioning, try to use barrages, and of course try to use creeping barrages for something against sort of push and assault, or say mess up an enemy attack. So that rather covers it. Thank you all, and see you all another time. Bye.